Hello, my name is Ellis. I'm the author of the book, Revelations of Profound Love, New Insights into the Power of Love from Near-Death Experiences. I want to share with you today some of the things that I've learned from studying near-death experiences. I've read over 500 near-death experiences and spoken to many hundreds more people that have had them. And I wrote this book based on the stories that they tell of the profound love they encountered on the other side. Today's story was received from Jessica. Her story is the lead to the chapter about there is a purpose and reason for everything. Jessica shares the story of her near-death experience. She said she had been in labor. She was giving birth to her first child. She was 26 years old, and this was 1977. She had been in labor for 13 hours, and the pain had become excruciating and unbearable. She said she begged for something to ease the pain, but the nurses refused to give her medication, encouraging her to breathe deeply instead. The pain had become so great she felt she was being torn in two. And then an idea started to form in her mind, a solution perhaps to the problem. Perhaps she could just let herself die. And when she started to think about that, it seemed like the only logical solution to the problem. And so she began to let go. And as soon as she did, she felt like she was getting cold, and her pain was becoming less. And then suddenly, to her amazement, she started drifting up from the operating table. She felt like she was in a body, but it was a different body. Incredibly light and free. She could see the other body on the table, surrounded by doctors and nurses. She was totally uninterested in that other body and what they were doing to it. Instead, she was interested in the fact that her new body was moving higher and higher. And within a few moments, she reached the ceiling. A golden white light formed above her and began enveloping her. Even though it was extremely bright, it wasn't harsh. She felt that she was going to a place that was familiar and so incredibly beautiful that she would never want to leave it. There was a pure love and peace in the light, and it was all-knowing. She felt the presence of a being, but had no name for it. At the time, she said, words didn't matter anyway. She was happier than she had ever been. She felt no regrets at all over dying. She said it was as if my life on earth had come and gone in an instant. All the pain, suffering, and confusion were gone. I wasn't even sad that I wouldn't see the baby I'd been trying to give birth to a few moments before. The light was all that mattered. All of a sudden, with almost a whooshing sensation, she was zapped back into her body, confused, angry, and sad, because she wanted to stay where the light was, not come back to a world of pain where nothing made sense. But she had no choice. The doctors finally gave her pain medication, and she quickly gave birth to a healthy baby. She didn't mention her experience to anyone but her husband. Since they couldn't understand it, they spoke of it no more. But a few years later, she read Raymond Moody's book, Life After Life, and realized she had had a near-death experience. She read many books about NDEs, but the experience didn't have much impact on her life until one day when tragedy struck. 20 years after her NDE, Jessica had the most devastating experience of her life. On that day, her beautiful, gentle little sister died in a horrible, tragic, senseless way. Although she doesn't share how. She says that when she heard the terrible news on the phone, she crumpled into a heap of pain, so terrible that words couldn't describe it. The following days and weeks were almost unbearable. Only those who have known such grief can understand it, she says. And then she says, I went deeper within myself for an answer to why such terrible things could happen. I began to think again about my near-death experience and spent many hours alone, meditating. I tried to feel again what I had felt that day, and also tried to understand where my sister was now. After months of deep inner searching and questioning, I began to comprehend. And this is what she determined. She says, when I nearly died that day long ago, I believe I was going up to God, the source of all that was and will be, the place that we all come from and go to. The most important realization I came to that day is that the force of the universe is love, and that those who truly love will be with their loved ones forever. The love I have for my sister will be what joins us together for eternity. I realize, too, that love should be a force we feel for ourselves. We should love ourselves, embrace ourselves, and take joy in our own creation, because we are of God and part of God, who is love. We are all courageously traveling this earthly road, a road filled with pain, loneliness, and confusion, even for the luckiest among us. We will all have to suffer to some extent, see loved ones die, have hopes and dreams shatter, and eventually die ourselves. Yet most of us put on a brave smile each morning and do our best to find meaning in the day. We should love ourselves for our courage. The most difficult question I had to find an answer to during my deep searching was why we have to suffer here on earth. I now think it is part of the lesson we need to learn to love, sacrifice, feeling pain and loss are part of the journey of life. These experiences make us all knowing, so that we can become part of and equal to God. Jessica goes on to share, she's recently decided to talk about her near-death experience and to let others know, including sending it in to IANS for researchers like myself to benefit from and to share with others. She talked to her family and told them about her experience that day, that she was giving birth, in hopes that it would help them understand where her sister is now. And she's begun to volunteer with hospice because she wants people to know there's nothing to fear in death. There's only love. Love beyond measure for all of us.